What up, good people? No intro today. We're actually going to jump right on in. I want to say we got about 6 articles we're going to roll through. So if you've been following the Planning podcast and you know about these IMC recaps, ultimately we identify the critical information if it's around NIL, if it's around crypto, if it's business moves, you name it. And we're going to highlight it over a short amount of time. So not going to spend a lot of time on all of these articles, really just touch base on some of the things that were not only important to us or informing to us, but also we felt like it will be good for you to know. And so first one up, so we're actually in the NIL space. I don't know if y'all have seen this manager. So there's this manager at a McNeese State. Big man has gotten over $100,000 in NIL deals. Again, I said the manager. He ain't bouncing the ball. He ain't shooting no threes, nothing like that. So let's check this out really quick. I thought this was a really good, informative article, but also a bit surprising. All right, so let's check out my man here. So this is Amir Khan. Amir Khan actually went viral. So he is the student manager at McNeese State, 22 years old, out of LA. So, excuse me, out of Louisiana. Let me get that right for my West Coast folks, out of Louisiana. But he was rapping to this track, Ludfos, In and Out. Now, young people, get with your boy. Ludfos, not too sure, but when I did hear the song, see the bop. So this is a cat that rocks the boombox around his neck. So we're gonna check this out real quick. I'm gonna have to pause it at a certain time because they, we gotta protect the audience ears. We got younger folks, but for the most part, let's see what triggered all of this.
I dropped out of school, started selling dog food, kept the biggest pistol even though I was a small dude. I get your block hot, 50 shots out this AK. You diss on my name, you get smoked on the same day. You do a hit, you hit the block same way.
Okay, all right, I had to pause it right there. So you see, I'm gonna turn it on. You see your boy, right? You see Amir bringing the energy. Again, not one of the ball players, but definitely a part of the team, and he's definitely bringing the vibes. Now, interesting enough, as I mentioned, this young man here, and again, shout out Forbes for this article. This young man here has been able to use this buzz to essentially get some marketing deals with TickPick, a secondary ticketing platform, Insomnia Cookies, we done hit that before, and Buffalo Wild Wings. And so he said it's like a movie. This is the person that is acting as the marketing representative when the initial video went down, and they've essentially been helping them put their infrastructure in place. And he said that he's fielded already over 100 phone calls and brands, alone. And so he said it's been ultimately insane. So this is one of the examples, number of examples on how NIL can be very tied to what the name is. His name is image and likeness in this particular space. And again, not tied to bouncing the ball, but more so creating a vibe, created 6 figures for this young brother here. So shout out to Amir. Hopefully he continues. Okay, Amir Aura Khan. So shout out to Amir. Hopefully he's able to transition his windfall into some generational dollars. So I thought that was really, really interesting. All right. So as we continue to move forward on some of this NIL evolution, one of the things that actually went live was the amount of money and the amount of deals that have been, air quotes, approved by this new commission when it pertains to some of the opportunities that these athletes have been able to jump on. And so as we can see here, more than 8,300 of NIL deals worth $80 million approved by the new commission. And that's a good amount of money. Now, we all know everybody ain't making millions and millions and millions, but there are folks that are. And so this was as early as September 4th. So about 11 days out, September 15th at the time I'm recording this. So the commission, which is in charge of contracts that go over $600 or more, which is actually Deloitte. So Deloitte is the company that is responsible for all of I'll just say the data that this is displaying, because they built this platform called NIL Go. And so that's what ultimately facilitates these contracts in regards of approving them. And so it says that as of August 31st, nearly 3,200 representatives or agents has also signed up. And so NIL Go ultimately is in charge of analyzing all of the outside deals that come through these schools. And so really, really good insight in regards of like the range of the deals. And so this range has also gone as high as 1.8 million. And again, this is the ones that they are aware of, right, at this particular time. And so this was good information to know. One of the things about gathering information from even reputable sources, right? Like this is ESPN, a reputable source. I have a ton of respect for Deloitte because one of the things that actually was updated is that, sorry, y'all, typo. So it wasn't actually 80 million that was approved. It was overstated by 44 million. So they came back, and this is why I got a ton of respect for the leadership at Deloitte, because they pretty much, as the young folks like to say, they stood on business. And so as you can see here, they overstated about 44 million. They blame the error really just tied to the total value of deals that were cleared and the total value of deals that were submitted, right? And so just because it was submitted doesn't mean it was necessarily cleared. And so it gave really an inflated amount of we'll just say deals that have been cleared versus submitted. The reason why I point this out, one of the main reasons why I point this out is that we always digest information from third parties. It could be from Facebook, could be from, and that may be, I don't know how many times that's been touched, but it could be from Facebook, could be from Instagram, could be from CNBC, could be from Yahoo Finance. You never know. Always do your research, because even with this, if Deloitte did not update this information, we would have continued to been under the assumption that, $80 million has already been cleared, which means that it's essentially been able to pass this test, this vetting process, this information, the documentation, the compliance, right? Everything that needs to go through this platform for a deal to be legit. And so for them to come back and say, we looked at the wrong number, we submitted the wrong number whenever y'all did this report, we're still getting a better understanding of these deals. Because I'm pretty sure what may have happened on the back end is that the deals that have been submitted that are pending, that folks are like, man, we waiting on this approval. This announcement went live. They see 80 million. They're like, ours must have got approved. And they were like, hold up, wait a minute. Actually, you didn't. So very curious to see what some of that backpedaling occurred once they found that error. And whoever found the error, shout out to you. Hopefully you still got a job. Because transparency when it pertains to numbers is one of the most important things, especially when it pertains to forecasting or looking at actual amounts. And so NIL is moving and grooving, as we can see, and we see just the range and the volume of deals that are occurring on a day-to-day basis. But there's still this compliance that needs to, I would say, get put in place to make sure that people are not getting taken advantage of. And so those that know us, you all know that we are pretty heavily within the space of working with athletes. I was just at the Packers Redskins game, and we have a good amount of experience on the range of either readiness of parents, readiness of the athletes on understanding the dynamics of deal making, deal flow, contract negotiation, understanding the tax obligation tied to some of these opportunities. And so it's going to be a growing opportunity, especially seeing how these different companies are getting involved, how universities and colleges are being forced to be more innovative on how they recruit and retain their athletes. It's just going to take more money. And so this is a time in which being on the same page is necessary. So I'm going to keep shouting out Jim Cavell and Athletes Org, because I believe that they are continuing to lead the charge on the level of infrastructure that's necessary to make sure that the athlete's voice continues to be prioritized versus, we'll just say any unintended. I'm just going to leave it at that, because I was about to get real. I was about to get into a little rant. All right, next thing we're about to get up into. So, as you know, we talk about a range of information, and one of the things that has been shifting quickly, and we've been, of course, I want to say our first podcast was around digital assets. So shout out my guy, Tom Ross, we got into like, yo, well, how should we start thinking about Bitcoin? This is years ago. I need to get to the date of our first episode. So if anyone just was curious, like, yo, I definitely got educated on it as you guys recommended, right? Educate before you allocate. But I also was able to, dollar cost average, put a couple of lump sums, and life's good right now. I'm pretty sure it is if you were able to jump in during that time frame. And again, it's still early, it's still early. So one of the things that has begun to have more legs is this thing called stable coins, right? And so, of course, tied to the most recent policy around the Genius Act. So President Trump got that in place in July. And so stable coins, cryptocurrency based type of underlying assets, like these things are starting to have more, we'll just say more exposure. There's a lot more exposure into it, especially at the institutional level. So there was an article recently that I was looking into that talks about how we ultimately are going to start paying for things, right? And so through the form of stable coins, this gives us the ability to, I would say, play a role in this financial revolution in a unique way. And so like cryptocurrency, stable coins have the potential to change the way banks and consumers transact business dealings. And so the general concept is for funds to travel more quickly through financial systems. Again, to travel more quickly through financial systems, which in turns eliminates pockets of downtime in the money supply. And so the quicker you can send money, the process in which that money can go do other things is that's ultimately increased. And so banks are evolving, financial institutions are evolving, and they're really starting to, I would say, welcome this range of digital assets in a way like no other. Prime example. So when you think about, being able to have your own type of currency, so you think about like Starbucks, when you're able to purchase things by utilizing their app, and you're able to get different points and things of that nature. Chick-fil-A, right? That's actually, it's first time me kind of thinking about this. It's kind of like their own form of currency, because the only way you're able to apply that credit is by using it at their store, right? And so when we think about just the flow of money, of course, these banks want to make sure, and financial institutions want to make sure that they have, the most user-friendly way in which they're able to implement these stable coin type of transactions that allow them to essentially keep leveraging those dollars. And so JP Morgan and Wells Fargo are exploring a joint stable coin currency. Visa and MasterCard are putting in place stablecoin transaction agreements with partners, including crypto company Circle. But ultimately, the biggest thing is, alongside the evolution of artificial intelligence, with the posturing of the support of the president, which is through the Genius Act, things are going to essentially move at a rate that is, each day you're going to see a different announcement. And so the Genius Act pretty much lays out that the framework for stablecoin currencies, which allows them under federal and state control to essentially impose harsh penalties that those that try to sidestep the rules, but it also requires full reserve backing for these currencies. And so this isn't like the what was that one? This ain't like a Dogecoin where someone was like, "Hey, yeah, this is a joke," and it's like, "Yeah, this joke's still rolling." But it's ultimately going to make sure that there's a level of compliance that's involved. But the adoption of this by banks is a huge deal. And so the amount of global stablecoin circulation has doubled over the last 18 months through July. So it's $250 billion in total, in which there's about $30 billion of daily transactions that are happening. So this isn't anything that needs to be experimented. It's happening right now, right? It's just now the US's ability to be able to interconnect with this type of structure, and I would say be on the front end of it, is starting now. And so this is less percent of the total global daily money transfer. And so in all, 5 to 7 trillion in global money transfers are processed each day. But it still represents a strong percentage, informing all of us that all of this is going to increase. And so they do anticipate for this to get to about 2 trillion by 2028. And that's a good bit. That's a good bit. And so here are just some good information. What are stablecoin benefits? Consumer benefits are not, at least not yet, a leading element of the stablecoin sales pitch. It appears that banks are among the most anxious to implement the new tools, seeing them as an opportunity to accelerate the flow of capital through their systems. That means that faster settlement times, less lag time for asset moving in and out of accounts. So if someone wants to move assets over, let me move $10 million, let me move $200,000 over quicker. It now takes 1 to 3 business days for credit and debit card transactions to settle. With stable coins, that would be immediately. Now, I will say, let me pop myself up. That is a benefit for the consumer. How many times have we ran into a situation where you paid for different transactions? It's Thursday, you had a good time. Okay, I see that real time. Friday, having a good time. Okay, I see that. Friday night. All right, you may use a particular card, credit card. All right, that's kind of not showing. Saturday, okay, yeah, kicking it. Sunday, cool. Monday hit, boom. All those transactions hit at once because of the whatever delay that is happening at that particular bank, or we'll just say the settlement time at that bank with those transactions have a delay based off of when it originally occurred. Now your ability to have real-time account of your money is not going to, I think that would be great for those that are managing their budget and also from cash flow management. Next time I get on this, I am going to talk about tokenization, because there is that aspect of just settlement time, especially when you think about investing in the market, 24/7 access, things like that. So this is some of the shifting in technology that, we're using new terms. When's the last time someone was like, yeah, I can't wait to get a stable coin? Like, we weren't using terms like this years ago, and now it's here. And so there's been some integration that you're going to see also in the way in which you send money and receive money. So the stable coin discussions between JP Morgan, Chase, and Wells Fargo also involves EWS, early warning systems, which operates Zelle as a real-time clearinghouse payment network. And so EWS is actually co-owned by Bank of America as well, and Citigroup and some commercial banks. And so it's going to get really interesting. So as you can see, MasterCard, Visa, they're already preparing for stable coins. Their different CEOs are looking forward to it. And then as well, you can see some of these smaller banks are going to position themselves because of, again, this settlement time is truly incredible. So this is all oh, you know what? We got a couple more. I was about to shut it down a little early. A few more things to talk through, some business deals that I thought was very interesting in regards of like how much they paid for it. I like to watch the UFC. So shout out to everybody that watches the UFC. Of course, you just can't go out and start beating on folks randomly, but it is a good of science, strategy, endurance, fitness, mindset, and it's just, nice. So one of the things that have recently occurred is this partnership. I may not even say a partnership. Ain't no partnership. They just cut the check. The check that was cut by Paramount. So Paramount will become the new home to all UFC events in the U.S. under a 7-year deal with the TKO Group. This ultimately started out as like only being a deal for fight night, like UFC fight night, and then it came bike and was like, hold up. So Paramount, and this is right after Skydance and Paramount officially closed on their merger. So they're making some big moves, and definitely a family business for sure. And so Paramount will exclusively distribute UFC's full lineup of its 13 marquee numbered events and the 30 fight nights on the streaming platform, which will be Paramount Plus. So all of this will start in 2026. It's a shift away from the UFC's existing pay-per-view model, which Paramount and TKO say will allow the mixed martial arts program to reach more consumers and consumers nationwide. Previously, they did have a deal with the ESPN, but that's about to And we're going to get into a few of the numbers here shortly because that's what rose my antenna. Is like, you pay how much? So Paramount's advantage lies in the expansive reach of our linear streaming platforms. David Ellison, the chairman and CEO of Paramount, said in a statement, live sports continue to be a cornerstone of our broader strategy, driving engagement, subscriber growth, and long-term loyalty. And the addition of UFC's year-round must-watch events to our platform is a major win. Yes, it is. We're all experiencing, hey, is this on Hulu? Is this on ESPN? Do I need to watch it on YouTube? Do I watch it on what's another one? Not Pluto. What's that one called? Peacock. Do I need to watch it on Jim John's on Jim? Man, what? Like it used to be channel 46, channel 3, ABC. That's over with. So these streaming platforms like Paramount are essentially jumping in on a huge opportunity because UFC has an incredible following. And I don't think this includes like the slapping thing they got going on as well. I don't think it's called that, but they just be slapping folks. So the historically they've been offering everything on ESPN Plus for 2019, and so this was a 6-year deal that is over with. Now the 7-year deal between Paramount and TKO has an average of about $1.1 billion a year. Now the ESPN deal was $550 million a year. So folks is like, bro, did you overpay? What's going on here? Now Paramount Plus costs in between like $7.99 to $12.99 a month. And so it doesn't have like that pay-per-view type. Hey, you gotta pay $79, right? And so definitely got to be thinking long term. It's also looking to explore UFC rights outside the US as they have become more available in the future. So thought this was a really interesting deal, considering some of the things that have gone down, especially from a political aspect. We know that the current president, Donald Trump, has some issues with 60 Minutes, with some of the stuff that was going on there. And Paramount owned broadcast network CBS. So, there's just been some things going on. And I believe that, there was a settlement. Paramount agreed to pay a settlement, $16 million settlement in early July. So now this is what was actually a brow raise when I learned about this settlement, but also learning about the deal with the UFC. Something definitely occurred because big dog Dana White, for him to move forward with this deal, the numbers definitely made sense. And coming off a 6-year deal, if you're able to double that, you definitely exceeded the price of inflation. But also, I'm pretty sure that their value proposition have grown like crazy. So shout out UFC, shout out Dana White for that deal. One last thing I want to get into is just like, what led to this payment price? There are some, we'll just say, economists that say, they definitely overpaid. Well, when you operate with a vision, certain things are done on purpose, right? And so this 7.7 billion deal, folks felt like it was pretty much an overpay considering what the ESPN paid for it over the last 6 years, which was about $550 million a year. Now it's about $1.1 billion a year. This is ultimately, as I say, part of a long-term strategy. And so knowing that they have this subscription type model, I do believe that they see this as a way to be able to expand their audience. But also, as the analysts here from Morningstar had doubled down and said, yes, they overpaid for these rights, but added only could be judged as part of a bigger vision. And so very interested to see how this, ends up. I know that their stock kind of bumped up a little bit off of this deal, but it hasn't been the most attracting stock in a really long time. With this type of financial commitment, I don't know what they're looking to do, but we do see that there's been a huge opportunity when it pertains to streaming and sports. So we definitely see more of these things happening. So, y'all stay tuned. Wanted to drop in and share these quick tidbits. Again, shout out to that McNeese manager for him securing the bag with the opportunities that he's been able to establish for himself. Make sure y'all subscribe, stay tuned, tell a friend. Peace. Let's get it.
to forget all the noble words you said when you get down to the bottom.